When someone lies to you, it's not just about the words they speak, it's about the respect they don't show. And most people, when they catch a lie, react with anger, frustration, or silence. But there's one response, one simple move that liars absolutely hate. Why? Because it exposes them without shouting, it holds them accountable without fighting, and it forces them to face the truth they were trying to escape. Today, I'm not here to teach you how to argue. I'm here to teach you how to win with calm, with clarity, and with control. When someone lies to you, your first instinct might be to defend yourself, to confront them, or to show anger because it feels like the natural reaction when we've been disrespected. But reacting emotionally is exactly what a liar expects. They count on your frustration so they can twist the story. They count on your anger so they can call you overreactive. They want your voice loud so their lie can stay quiet. The one thing they never expect is calm. A calm response is their worst enemy because it gives them nothing to escape, nothing to blame, and nowhere to hide. When you stay calm, you take back control without needing to raise your voice. It shows maturity, confidence, and clarity. Calm is not weakness. Calm is strategy. A calm person isn't afraid of the truth. A calm person invites it in and lets it sit right on the table for everyone to see. That's why emotional control is powerful. It doesn't just protect your peace. It exposes their lie. When you answer with a calm tone instead of anger, the entire atmosphere changes. The liar now feels the pressure they wanted to put on you. They start to feel watched. They start to lose confidence in their own words. They know you are not panicking. You are not reacting. You are listening, processing, and remembering. That scares them more than any argument ever could. Sometimes all it takes is a calm sentence like, "Are you sure?" Or "Let me understand what you're saying." Those questions don't accuse, they don't attack, they just invite honesty, and honesty is exactly what a liar is afraid of. When you respond calmly, you don't give them fuel to argue. They want your energy so they can use it against you. They want you loud so their lie looks small. They want you defensive so they can look innocent. But a calm response turns the spotlight around. Now every word they say stands alone. Now their lie has to carry its own weight. When you stay calm, their story starts to collapse under pressure because you're not interrupting it, you're letting it keep going. The longer they speak, the more holes begin to show. That is the real power of remaining composed. You turn silence into your strength and pressure into their problem. Emotional people lose focus. Calm people see everything. When you stay emotionally stable, you hear more details, you catch more inconsistencies, and you make more accurate conclusions. Emotional people get baited into arguments. Calm people stay anchored in truth. You don't need to prove yourself to a liar. Your goal is not to attack them. Your goal is to protect your peace and expose the truth. Calm responses do both. Think about a courtroom. The strongest lawyers don't shout. They ask clear questions. They build patterns. They let the truth trap the lie on its own. Your calm response does the same. It puts the burden of proof on them. It forces them to verify their own words. A liar hates this because their strength lies in your confusion. Their weakness shows when you stay clear. Calmness is not just emotional control, it is psychological control. You are indirectly saying, "I'm smart enough to understand what's happening and I don't need to panic." Calmness also sends another message. I know my value and I won't lower it to fight with dishonesty. That confidence destroys the liar's strategy because they are no longer dealing with a vulnerable target. They are dealing with someone who knows how to stay in command. The power of calmness also affects the environment around you. People naturally pay attention to the person who is composed. In any conflict, the loudest voice isn't always the strongest. The most controlled voice is. Calm energy draws respect, it draws attention, and it also draws curiosity. Others begin to sense that something isn't right. They start observing closer. They start questioning silently. When people lie, they try to isolate you. But when you remain calm, you make others look closer at what's happening. That changes the atmosphere completely. A liar doesn't just fear being caught by you, they fear being exposed in front of others. Staying calm also helps protect your reputation. Anyone can get angry when they're lied to, but not everyone can stay collected. People remember how you handle pressure. They remember who stayed calm when emotions were high. When you respond with clarity instead of chaos, others see strength in you. They recognize your composure. They notice that you don't react to disrespect. You respond with intelligence. That matters in relationships and friendships, and especially in professional life. Emotional reactions can burn bridges. Calm responses build respect. Even if someone tried to manipulate you, your response can still elevate your power. However, calm doesn't mean silent. It means controlled. It means measured. It means you choose every word with intention. Calm doesn't avoid truth, it invites it in with confidence. Being calm gives you time to think. It gives you space to choose your words. It lets you respond with precision instead of regret. Emotional reactions might feel satisfying in the moment, but calm responses last longer because they protect your peace and your dignity. A liar might try to provoke you, but when you don't react, they feel their strategy falling apart. They don't just lose control of the situation, they lose control of themselves. And the moment they start losing composure, the truth starts coming out. Calmness is like a mirror. It reflects their lie back at them. But here's the key: you don't have to prove anything. You just have to stay steady. Staying calm doesn't change the truth. It reveals that liars survive on confusion. They don't want clarity because clarity exposes them. That's why asking for clarification is one of the most powerful tools you have when dealing with dishonesty. You don't need to accuse them. You don't need to attack them. All you need to do is make them explain themselves. A liar can say anything once, but when you calmly ask them to repeat it, to walk you through the details, to explain what they really mean, their story begins to fall apart. The more a lie is stretched, the easier it breaks. Your questions are not confrontation, they're structure. They bring order to their chaos. They force logic into a situation built on manipulation. And liars hate anything that makes sense because lies don't survive where sense exists. When you ask for clarification, you instantly shift the power. You are no longer on the defensive. You're not defending your position, you're examining theirs. That makes them uncomfortable, and that's exactly where the truth starts to reveal itself. The key is how you ask. You don't say, "I know you're lying." You say, "Can you help me understand this part?" Or, "So what you're saying is?" Or, "Can you explain that again?" These questions sound harmless, but they serve a purpose. They force them to think, to organize their story, and liars struggle when they have to think twice. They rely on quick words, they rely on your silence, they rely on your fear of sounding rude. But when you calmly ask for clarity, you send a message: "I'm not afraid to hear more." That confidence puts them under pressure. The more they talk, the more chances they have to expose themselves. When someone is telling the truth, they welcome clarification because truth is easy to repeat. A liar, however, will get irritated, nervous, or inconsistent. That's when you know your questions are working. Clarity exposes dishonesty without aggression. It forces the liar to walk into their own trap step by step. Asking for clarification also protects you from false accusations. When you make someone repeat their exact words, you remove assumptions. You stop them from twisting the narrative later. Everything becomes clearer because now the moment is documented in real time. You are showing them that you heard every word carefully and respectfully. You're signaling that you have no fear of truth and no hurry to respond. They might try to change their story, but now you have a reference point. You can calmly say, "That's different from what you said earlier." That sentence alone can silence a liar more effectively than anger ever could. Clarification is like holding up a mirror. You're not accusing them. You're just letting their own words reflect back at them. That reflection is uncomfortable because lies don't look good when examined closely. Liars often want conversations to move fast. They rely on speed because speed stops people from thinking. But asking for clarity slows things down. It brings the conversation into focus. It makes the liar feel exposed. They start realizing they're being observed, and that observation puts pressure on their confidence. That's why clarification is a tool of control. It doesn't just reveal the truth, it helps you stay composed. You are not reacting emotionally. You are staying curious, logical, and sharp. That mindset protects your peace and makes people think twice before trying to deceive you. When someone knows you're willing to analyze their words carefully, they become more cautious about what they say around you. That's how you build silent respect, through calm, intelligent questioning. Another benefit of clarification is that it strengthens your memory of the situation. When you ask someone to repeat something, your brain registers it more accurately. Now, even if things escalate, you're grounded. You know exactly what was said, you know what changed, and you know who tried to twist the truth. That kind of clarity gives you power, not the power to argue, but the power to stay rooted in reality. That's what liars fear most. They don't fear anger, they fear accuracy, because accuracy is undeniable. You don't need to call them out. You just need to stay aligned with the facts. That alone will make the lie collapse. In professional settings, asking for clarification is one of the most respected communication tools. You're not being rude, you're being responsible. You're making sure that things are understood clearly. You're practicing accountability. And if someone tries to lie, they will struggle to keep up with that standard. They will feel the pressure of their own words. Clarity creates responsibility. When you ask someone to repeat their words, you are politely holding them accountable to what they say. Accountability makes liars uncomfortable because they don't plan to stand by their words. They plan to change them later. But your calm questions prevent that escape. The most powerful part of clarification is that it exposes the liar while protecting your integrity. You don't need to fight. You don't need to raise your voice. All you need to do is stay curious. Curiosity is your shield. Curiosity is your strategy. Curiosity is your strength. When you ask for details, you're gathering information instead of wasting energy. You are staying composed instead of letting emotion control you. Emotional responses drain energy. Clarification collects it. And once you collect enough truth, you don't just respond, you lead. You become the person people trust because you don't react blindly. You observe clearly. That makes you someone people listen to. That makes you someone liars fear. Sometimes silence makes liars uncomfortable. But sometimes clarity makes them panic even more. They would rather face your anger than your understanding because anger can be redirected. Understanding cannot. That's why clarification is so powerful. It's not loud, but it's strong. It's not aggressive, but it's firm. It keeps the conversation fair and transparent. It protects you from manipulation. It shows that you care about truth, not drama. Liars hate this because they can't use your emotions against you. They have to face their own words. And when they do, the truth begins to appear. Silence is one of the most underestimated strengths in communication. Most people feel the need to fill silence quickly because they think silence means weakness or defeat. But when you use silence intentionally, it becomes a powerful tool, especially against liars. A liar expects you to react, to argue, to defend yourself. They expect you to get emotional or aggressive, but they never expect silence. Silence makes them uncomfortable because it interrupts their rhythm. It gives them space to think, and that space becomes pressure. When you stay silent after a dishonest statement, you force them to sit with their own words. You let their lie echo in their mind. Often, they will try to fill the silence themselves. They will start talking more. They will try to justify what they said. And the more they speak, the more cracks begin to show. Silence is not your retreat. Silence is your strategy. It keeps you in control without having to say anything. Silence is also powerful because it protects your energy. When you argue with a liar, you drain your energy trying to defend what's already true. But when you stay silent, you give nothing away, you keep your peace, you keep your strength, and you send a message, I hear you, but I don't need to react to everything you say. That message is stronger than any argument. Silence doesn't mean agreement. Silence means reflection. It shows maturity. It shows discipline. It shows that you don't need noise to prove yourself. You can lead the conversation without speaking. That is influence at its highest level. When you master silence, people realize quickly that you're not someone they can control emotionally. And when they realize that, their behavior changes. Liars fear silence because silence gives them nothing to fight against. They want your anger so they can shift the blame. They want your emotional reaction so they can play victim. But silence keeps the spotlight on them. Now it's their words against their own conscience. Now they must defend their own story, not against you, but against themselves. When someone lies and you stay quiet, watch how their body language changes. They become uneasy. They look away, they rephrase their story, they might even laugh nervously or repeat themselves. That's the pressure of truth working silently. The longer the silence, the stronger the pressure. You don't have to confront them, you just have to let the silence do its work. Because silence invites honesty, silence removes the filter, silence reveals more than your words ever could. Silence also serves another purpose. It gives you time to observe. While they keep talking, you get to watch. You notice their expression, their tone, their hesitation. You notice how confident they are in their own words. Truth is steady. Lee is shaky. Silence gives you a clear view of that difference. And in that moment, you gain more clarity than any argument could ever give you. Silence lets you think before responding. It lets your mind stay sharp. It gives you control over what to say and what not to say. Not every lie deserves your reaction. Sometimes the strongest response is no reaction at all. You're not ignoring the lie. You're letting it reveal itself. You're giving it room to collapse. Silence is not just a communication skill, it's emotional discipline. It requires self-control to stay quiet when your emotions want to speak, but self-control makes you powerful. Anyone can react. Not everyone can stay composed. Silence teaches people how to treat you because it shows them that your mind cannot be rushed. Your emotions cannot be manipulated. Your decisions cannot be forced. When you are silent, you remind others that your peace is not easily disturbed. That kind of presence builds respect without saying a word. In difficult conversations, silence can change the entire direction. When someone says something dishonest or disrespectful and you respond with silence, they instantly realize you're not on their level. They understand that you're not engaging emotionally. They feel the disconnect, and many times they correct themselves without you saying a word. That is the power of strategic silence. It doesn't embarrass them. It guides them. It gives them a chance to rethink what they said. And sometimes silence is the last chance they have to choose honesty before you walk away. Silence protects your dignity and gives them an opportunity to show theirs. Using silence also prevents you from saying something you might regret. When emotions run high, silence gives you the space to breathe. It gives you time to evaluate the situation calmly. It helps you choose words wisely instead of reacting impulsively. Silence keeps you anchored when your mind wants to spin. It gives you clarity during conflict. That clarity helps you make better decisions about what to do next. Silence doesn't just expose lies, it protects your future. Because what you say in emotional moments can change relationships permanently. Silence helps you avoid mistakes while still keeping your strength. In relationships, silence can be a test. It reveals who respects you and who only wants to win arguments. If someone becomes angry because you didn't respond immediately, that tells you something about their intentions. Silence reveals character, both theirs and yours. The people who value truth will understand your silence. The people who fear truth will fight it. That is why silence is a filter. It keeps the wrong people uncomfortable and the right people respectful. Silence can also be powerful when paired with eye contact. A calm expression and steady eye contact say more than words ever could. It shows confidence. It shows control. It shows that you are not intimidated. Many times, the silence combined with calm presence can make a liar admit more than they plan to. Sometimes they will explain themselves without being asked. Sometimes they will apologize. Sometimes they will change their story. And when that happens, you learn something important. Honesty doesn't always need confrontation. Sometimes it just needs space. And silence creates that space. The best part is this silence helps you win without fighting. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove anything. You don't even need to expose the liar directly. You just need to keep your peace and let silence do the work. Because silence is the moment when truth gets louder. It is the space where lies weaken. It is the tool that demands accountability without raising a single word. A liar can talk all they want, but when silence enters the room, honesty becomes inevitable.